Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of South Pacific, a Pacific Islanders broadcast from Seattle, Washington, in King County. Today is December 21st. We only have a few days before celebrating the holidays, and Merry Christmas to you all. We have a special program today with the Seattle King County Public Health, Nori De La Pena with mental health, and also we have Sam with the vaccine, talking about the vaccine information and update. So before we continue on, we'd like to ask Pastor Aseli, please, you can continue on and say a little word of prayer to bless our program as we continue on. Thank you.
Let's us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time of carrying, Lord God, through this program. We're grateful the opportunity, Lord, for having the health department coming up, Lord, and just share with our community. Share with our people, oh God, the good news and also, Lord, things that we need to know at this, especially in this time. As we drawing closer to the celebration of the coming to earth, Lord, we pray that you will bless us in what we're going to talk about tonight. Lord, let me your grace and also your favor upon each and every one of us as we enjoy this time of sharing. Yes, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Pastor Aseli is from the islands of Fiji. He's one of the community leader. Thank you. Now we'll continue on, with our great topic today because this is our last program for 2023. We'd like to ask, we also have Pastor Paulina Wikufu from the islands of Fiji. We'd like to give this great opportunity to Nora De La Pena. Please, if you could tell us, a little bit about the great topic that we're about to talk about, mental health.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Mic check. All right, thanks, Kate. It is a pleasure to join you again. It's been about 2 years probably or so since I was on your show and speaking about the same thing. And as you are well aware, it's still a huge issue and challenge and a big interest for our communities. So thank you again for having me. Nori De La Pena with Public Health, Seattle King County. My main role with the Public Health Department is actually in the tobacco and vaping prevention program, where I spend a majority of my time. And a sliver of my time is also working with the community on offering mental health supports. So my role with a community coalition in South King County is to connect individuals with mental health providers and healers, social workers, health coaches, and peers. So as you can imagine, tobacco and nicotine dependence go hand in hand with stress and coping and mental health, and really exacerbates and worsens some of the symptoms that people are experiencing as far as depression and anxiety and other mental health conditions. So I'm very happy to be here today. I'm hoping to be able to answer what questions you have. Again, I have some resources. I probably don't have all of them. We are still working behind the scenes and trying to work with the challenging system that we have. As you know, there aren't very many Pacific Islander and Black and Brown therapists available for us. So behind the lines, we're doing some work to see how we can get young people to explore jobs like this. So just know that that is happening in the background.
Thank you so much, Nori De La Pena, and I'm sure Kate Cole, thank you so much for always giving the opportunity, great opportunity. We're coming to the end of the month and the end of the year. Thank you so much, for giving us the great opportunity to broadcast to our Pacific Islanders community. Also, I have Joseph Seia. He's joining with us. Joseph, since you're one of the leaders, with the Oceania Pacific Northwest, I'll give you the opportunity, to ask the first question if you have any question, and then I'll ask Pastor Aseli, and then also Pastor Paulina Vuikovo, and then also some of our guests, will join us maybe in a few minutes here. Hello, Joseph.
Hi, Fatima. Talofa, everybody. Thanks for having me, and thanks for joining us, Nori. It's a pleasure. I know that as far as mental health is concerned, Pacific Islanders probably is one of the most impacted communities in terms of barriers to care, and also just a lot of cultural nuance that we struggle with, right? Oftentimes, I believe that for Pacific Islanders, seeing a therapist is considered a very Palangi thing to do, right? It's culturally alienating for us to think about, outsourcing our issues to a stranger, let alone somebody who doesn't understand our culture. And so oftentimes, we try to lean into either our families or churches or other more culturally located spaces. But as you all know, with Pacific Islanders, there's a lot of hierarchy, and not everybody feels, especially young people or people that are queer or people that are often, silenced in some ways in our communities. So those spaces, while they're culturally located, they're often not the most lucrative spaces also for those discussions. And so I guess it's just has been a challenge. It's more of a statement instead of a question, but it has been a challenge for Pacific Islanders to really gauge mental health in a meaningful way. And so I think the dilemma is, even if we do have Pacific Islanders that are therapists, culturally, Islanders will not go to other Islanders to air their business. So, even getting Pacific Islander therapists, out there, it seems still like a culturally not uh, competent way either. So I guess Nori, like, what are maybe some methods that you can see to address mental health in communities like Indigenous communities like Pacific Islanders that is culturally located, and also provides safety, for like young people, for women, for queer folk, with some of the issues that we might not be able to address within our cultural circles.
Thank you for that, Joseph. I appreciate everything that you brought up, and I'm going to speak from experience as well, and hopefully that will help. And I hear you when you talk, when you're talking about, you know, Pacific Islanders, Asian communities. Our communities typically don't reach out to therapists or counselors, and it really does lie in within family. And we keep it amongst ourselves. We don't want to shame the family, and growing up, that's what I heard. I have siblings that actually have severe mental illnesses, diagnoses, and it is challenging, but I'm very hopeful that people will reach out, because from experience, I can tell you that it really has helped. And it does take time. I mean, we're talking probably about at least 25 years. So for us to seek some assistance for our family. And although it is challenging, I believe it's very necessary that we reach out. I mean, even, we do rely on our families. It's important to talk to our families. It's also important for us to reach out to people that are have the experience and expertise in remedying some of the experiences that we can't maneuver by ourselves. And I would say that is the biggest thing, is that I don't know where we would be if we didn't reach out for help. And so that's kind of my main thing, is that if we don't reach out out of our circles, and if we keep it silence, it's going to remain a big stigma in our communities. And something that I've learned, especially over COVID, is that if we talk about it, if we talk openly about it, it's going to, over time, the hope is that we can normalize it. And I feel like that's the experience with me and my family is that we've opened up to outside of our family and sought resources. And it's also helped other families hearing the stories and knowing that they're not alone, because we know that we're not alone. We know that folks that are struggling are not alone. And it just helps to have others in your corner or know that others are experiencing similar things that you are. I mean, we're not going to have the same exact experiences, but we can have that common thread of reaching out and not keeping this to ourselves and making it manifest for years and years. Because I hear that on average, we can keep it to ourselves for 10 to 15 years. And that is a lot. It's a lot to carry on. So, definitely reaching out to elders, and again, expanding that, reaching out to others and talking about it and normalizing the conversations. And I'll pause there for any questions or any clarifications.
Yeah, thank you so much, for the great information that is very loud and clear. Thank you for answering. I think that we have someone, from the Fijian community. She's raising her hand, Lydia. And also I have Sina Packer. But we'll switch over to Lydia. Lydia, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, ma'am. Bulavinaka, everyone. My name is Litia. I prefer to be called Tia in short. I'm actually from the beautiful islands of Fiji. Just this week, next week will be my 1 year stint here in Seattle. We moved here to Washington late last year. So our 1 year stint is coming up soon. I worked in Fiji for so many years in the media industry, being a radio broadcaster in the Fijian station. And I am so glad and I'm so blessed that I have been connected to this group and be part of this. And I am looking forward to be working with you moving on in the future. Thank you so much for inviting me, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, Lydia, for joining with us. If you don't have any question, we'll move right on. And then you can always share the information that you all get today from Nori de la Pena and also our upcoming vaccine update. Okay. We also have another Fijian, Paulina Wikuvu. Can you go ahead and ask any question? Okay, ask Pastor Aseli, can you go ahead?
Yeah, hello, everyone. Bulavinaka. Just a quick question. Like, I think, the Ministry of Health has the available resources. I was just thinking out loud in regards to how we can, like what Joseph just highlighted, the kind of like from one extreme to another, in trying to extend the hand in letting our community know how we can deal with it, even when we have barriers within the culture, within our culture, and how we can take down that. If there's my question actually is whether the health department has some kind of resources that would be available so that we can incorporate these two differences, like the health, the care that is available through the health department, and also the cultural differences where we can bring them together and understand why we're trying to work with our community in extending the news and also the information that's available at our disposal.
So I believe you're asking about resources available and what the health department where we can refer folks to for?
Yeah, kind of. Like Joseph highlighted it. Like we have kind of like a taboo thing mostly.
Mhm.
It's something that we don't do more often, and we are not open to that as a
Mhm.
culture. People. And when
Yeah.
we have that, how we can bring that resources and how we can help our community get to know, because
Mhm.
we always fall back. We want to keep it secret. It's something that we don't talk
Mhm.
about. You know.
Yes, absolutely. I know more and more there are resources like we could help connect you to somebody that can speak to a community, a group of you if you're interested. Do you think something like that will work? 'Cause there more and more people have been gathering and talking about whether it's on Zoom or if it's in person, just kind of opening that topic to opening that topic up so that people, I know there's certain words that we want to avoid, like counseling and therapy and things of that
Mhm.
nature. But if there's other things that we can talk about, just like stress management or coping or being well,
Yeah,
mental
yeah.
health is very separated from physical health, but it is health, and everybody has mental health. It's where we are as far as how we can deal with certain distractions or stressors or trauma, etc. So, and usually this kind of get together, revolves around food. So if we could just come together for a gathering and just talk openly about how people are doing, just checking in with people and seeing where people are at. I know that usually when we're asked that question, how are you doing? We always say, oh, good, everything's
Yeah.
fine. But we know
Hmm.
that that's not true. But if we can take the time
Hmm.
and really listen to how people are doing, I think we can connect with people um, in a more real way because there's just so much suffering and nobody should feel that alone. And I feel like if we can have a gathering of some sort and just talk about, what is
Hmm.
available. There are organizations that serve, you know,
Okay.
the community. If
Yeah.
we can plug somebody in from the community to talk to to our communities, then that could help open the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a process,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
yeah.
So like it's that if that is an initial, you know, undertakings that we need to set up and move on from there. Do we have any other, like the health department have resource to provide counselors and all those to continue from there?
That's a great question. Sustainability, how we
Yes. Yeah.
can sustain.
Hmm.
Yeah, so with when COVID happened, we started facilitating a community coalition called South King Emotional Wellness League. And in this wellness league, we have a variety of different providers. Unfortunately, nobody that serves the Pacific Islander community, but we are working on that.
Okay.
But we have brought these people into the churches. And held community gatherings in that way. Like they have actually had mental health. Um, Emerald City, are you familiar with Emerald City Church? It's a church in Seattle. They had a specific, I guess, program on mental health,
Okay.
and we brought some counselors in there to support, and we offered like these little stress, I'm sorry, self-care kits.
Okay.
So we also gave away some things like that. But essentially that was like an hour of talking about the matter. And then with the counselors that we had there, whoever was interested in speaking with a counselor or a health coach or a peer could talk to them after the program right there.
Okay.
So in person. But obviously we're well versed in doing the virtual thing too. So in spaces like this, if you wanted to have folks talk about what they're doing in the community and how they're getting people to open up about it, how conversations are starting, um, we can also do kind of a showcase of that, like what's actually helping, actually happening, what resources are available. Um, and yeah, so just kind of starting the conversation in that way,
Mm.
and we could have a provider come or a counselor come to you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Thank you. At this time, Tino, because our time is very limited, I know we only got like maybe 9 more minutes. I would like to ask Lupe. Lupe, can you go ahead and ask your question? Then next will be Paulina and then Sina.
And I have questions to ask to Meme.
Oh, okay. Yes. Lupe, can
Hi,
you?
thank you so much. I just wanted to, sorry for being late, but this is very interesting. I wanted to know if there's a way we can, there's a lot of stigma around the mental health, but
Right.
what is the confidence, what is your confident level of how to pursue the services for our PIs?
The confidence in having resources available to the community.
Yes, because I've seen that for our recovery team, but I just wanted to know because we have so many of young adults and also for their young youth, and there are so much of struggling that we see with depression in life, and then how can we approach it to them? Because most of the fact that we see in our youth when they come up to it, they pick and choose. We've been through the youth side, and I just wanted to see what's your proficiency of serving to our young youth. How can we approach it through mental health, and what is they're going through it, so that we can be also see the whole broad picture of it. With all my
Yes.
respect, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing up our youth and our young people. We, at the very beginning of the coalition, when we first kicked off, we were primarily seeing and connecting adults. And this year, we really focused on our young people. So we do have counselors on our team that specialize in LGBTQ, transgender, youth. We have somebody that specializes in seeing folks or young people with autism as well. And so with the funding for 2024, we had really great news at the end of the year where we are going to be able to get continued funding from Black Lives Matter. And so with this year, we plan to amp up our programming and reach out to communities, let them know what's available. And again, like I said, just have that conversation with folks. And usually this starts with us being invited to your space if there is an event or if there's a meeting or if there's another program like this. We can have some of our folks that represent South King Emotional Wellness League as part of this, and you can directly chat with them on, you know, on specific things that you would like to hear from them. So I would say sustainability wise, we are looking pretty good for this year, and we are able to do a lot more and do a lot more outreach. It's just as far as us being at the table, we would need to be, you know, obviously invited to the table, and we would be happy to support where needed. Is that
Okay.
helpful?
Thank you so much, Tino, for the great information. Those are all the answers, Tino, like to your question. Thank you, Lupe, from the islands of Samoa, but it's a community navigator. Okay, we'll go on, Tino, since our time is limited. We'll hop on with Paulina, Pastor Paulina, or if you're not ready, we can ask Sina. Yeah, Paulina? Welcome, Pastor Paulina from United Methodist Church. You can go ahead and ask your question right now from the islands of Fiji, Fijian community. Pastor Paulina, can you unmute yourself? We cannot hear you. Okay, we can, in the meantime, Pastor Paulina, we cannot hear you. We're gonna go to Sina. Sina Aloita Funapeka, she's the leader in taking care of the elderly in the Tongan community. would like to ask Sina. Please, Sina, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and also ask your question?
Thank you, Tima, and thank you, Voice of South Pacific. I have a quick. I am kind of worried about my community, and this is a very good topic to talk about mental health. And I think that we deal with it either by one-on-one, in a group, community, churches, programs, and there's a few topics that. So Joseph was talking about that really click. I think that is access and outreach. We have, in the Tongan community, I'm sure Pastor, the Fijian community, Samoan community, if you really want get counselor and to come out and experience mental health in our people, try to get into some of the group events that they part where they connected, like Kava group. It's a group where all males sit together and then they talk. It's amazing how you pick up their what's in their mind, and you can collect your data from there. I think that was one of the things that I would like to add on for 2024. If you do outreach, come out to the community gathering like Cover Group, and Joseph will tell you those. You can hear a lot of what's in their mind. They share by either singing or share with each other. I think that's a question that I would like to ask to put on the 2024 topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Sina. So next will be Lydia. I think you have a question. Go ahead, Lydia, from
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
islands of Fiji. It's going to be my future co-host in the broadcast.
Amen to that. My questions will lie entirely on the vaccination, because we already in the cold season and flu is going around. The vaccination updates that I'd like to ask. Who shall I attention the question to?
Oh, this is Kate. I'm just chiming in. It sounds like, Sylvia, maybe we're done with the mental health portion and it's time to introduce our next guests.
Okay.
And thank you, Tian. It's nice to meet you, and congratulations on your year here in Seattle.
Thank you, Kate. Okay.
And Nori, thank you so much for being here to speak about mental health.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. And Sylvia, it sounds like maybe we're ready to introduce our next
Exactly.
guests.
Thank you, Nori de la
Francisco and
Pena,
Sam.
for all the great information. Thank you, Kate, for organizing this. And then we're looking forward maybe for some time in the future that we can meet in person, with Nori de la Pena and also Sam Glover. We have this new office here at Manamo'i Center, and you are all welcome, to take a visit and meet us here in person. And we can try to invite all the community to come. You can share, like that would be a great gathering, with our Pacific Islanders community. Thank you.
Invitation accepted. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we'll just take like that 10-second here with a little melodious thing, while we switch over to the next topic.
Hi there.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, trusty hello day style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas.
So our part 2 is with Sam Glover and Francisco Arias Reyes, the managers of public health in the Kent Vaccine Clinic, discussing what's offered at the clinic. So I'll just take this opportunity and ask the first question. Please introduce yourself and tell us about the Kent Vaccination Clinic and your role. Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you so much for hosting this for us, Sylvia. I'm Sam. I'm a nurse. I'm also the manager at the Kent COVID Vaccination Clinic. We're at the public health site, the Kent East Hill Public Health Site in the Kent Shopping Plaza. And I just kind of help run the clinic. I'm here to answer any questions people have.
Thank you. And my name is Francisco Arias Reyes, and I am the operations manager for our Kent clinic, as well as for our community vaccination 7 operations that does run out of our community health services division in public health. Very nice to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Welcome,
And I just want to
welcome.
cut in really quick. This is Kate, just to say, I know in the past for some of these interviews, we've often had on physicians who are talking more about the epidemiology, how the disease of COVID is spreading. And certainly Francisco and Sam can speak some to that, but I'm hoping that some of what we can discuss in today's interview is more about what's offered at the Kent Vaccination Clinic. That's where Sam and Francisco work, and there are a lot of great resources there that I want to make sure people learn about.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. So I'll give this opportunity again for Joseph Sayed. He's a great community leader, but otherwise, he knows a lot of the things, based on the community needs, especially has to do with related, with the vaccine. Joseph?
Hey, Fatima and all, I apologize. I'm off camera. I'm on the road, so I'm going to try to be as helpful as I can, and my apologies in advance. But I know that it's, Pacific Islanders, have suffered the worst consequences from fatalities due to COVID, and I know that still, that is still a challenge for our communities. And so, vaccination, when they got deprioritized, it's very unfortunate because that was one of the the only ways that Pacific Islanders were getting vaccinated was through the community clinics that community organizations will just have because of availability during the pandemic and shortly after the pandemic. And it has been very difficult now to, make sure that we still access vaccinations, not just in King County, but in Snohomish and Pierce as well. And so I guess it's really a statement as to how is equity issues, especially with Pacific Islanders and Native Americans who've suffered, hospitalization and highest fatality rates. How is the county and others still sort of centering equity around vaccination access, and is that still something that is happening with community partners? I know that with the Department of Health, they've taken back a lot of their mobile clinics, and so it's very difficult now for community organizations to set up community clinics. And our folks are still not going in to other places where other folks go in to get vaccinations, and partly because of the trust issue, language barriers, and also hospitality that they do receive with the community setup, clinic setup. So that is my question: is that still something that is prioritized by King County Public Health?
That is a really great question, and I appreciate that, Joseph. And yes, as you all know, through the pandemic, we have learned a lot, and we in King County have done our best to prioritize, communities most affected by COVID. And through our existence, since we started offering not just vaccination, but the whole response, we focus in South King County and in communities, most affected, as you already said. So as part of that effort, we have had multiple different sites, and as the rollout of the vaccines, came out, I have to say that King County is one of the most vaccinated counties in the country, and we couldn't have done that, be that vaccinated without your help. I just want to put that up front, because your voice, being elevated to us, really help us to prioritize our work, and try to serve, in the settings that you guys already pointed, community vaccination events, for example, or different locations that we have had. And we also heard, about interpreting services, and different things that we can do to lower, the barriers that the community can find, when they come and look for services with us. So all that information we continue to use. And that's why, we continue to have the clinic in Kent, which is low barrier. We have open access there. We have Saturday open, because many people work Monday to Friday, and we have some kind of evening hours because we are open 9:30 to 6. So, we are continuing, to try to offer as much as we can, with the resources that we have. Because also as the pandemic has changed, also, resources have been shifted, and some of the resources, have been diverted, to be, for example, vaccines to be offered in pharmacies. That's another option that now exists that was not that common, in certain times during the pandemic. That said, we continue to offer, as I said, the Kent Clinic and also community vaccination events, where I think what we have worked with you guys in the past, organizing those, and we are totally open and willing, to set up more events, as you guys need. And I just want to make sure that I'm answering your question there, or if you have more to add.
No, that's great to know. Thanks for that, Arias. I know that public health dollars are dwindling at the federal level, and I know that King County is probably making a huge cut. And we know oftentimes it's most impacted community services that are cut out first. Specifically to Pacific Islander communities and also to urban Indian communities, and those are those are the last thought of communities during the pandemic. I remember when the pandemic was happening, and they came out with the vaccination plan, and even though we had the highest rates of death and hospitalization, we were not prioritized, and that it's just systemic racism, right? That we continue to face as indigenous populations that don't traditionally access even public health resources. So I know that you have your Kent's office, but that's still not a community, run, sort of facility and community-led facility. And so, yeah, we still, those are still some concerns that I think that I do have with King County Public Health, although they are ahead of the curve, way better than Snohomish and Pierce and also Clark County and Spokane. Actually, Spokane is doing really well, Spokane Health District. But they only did well because Pacific Islanders were 50% of their cases during the pandemic, even though we were less than 1% of the population. And so I think there are a lot of lessons that Spokane Health District had learned, in terms of continuing to support community efforts within Pacific Islanders and urban Indian communities. And so I just hope that, my hope is that we don't lose the lessons, and that we continue to really decenter public health and also other traditional health centers, and really think about how do we resource community-based organizations with health supports, right? Where we're not coming to you, you're coming to us in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I forgot to mention, is that we also offer vaccinations at home. We have mobile teams that are going in, and can vaccinate, community members, in their own home. If they have any difficulties, we are also offering that. Because again, we really want to use the lessons that we learned from the pandemic, continue to use those learnings, and continue to have you guys at the table so we can continue to improve the services that we offer to your community.
Thank you so much. You just answered but the question I was preparing. I was about to ask about the access and accessibility for people who wants to get the vaccination but have different mobility and mental health needs. But thanks to your answers, sir. Just a question, sorry for adding on. When I heard about this vaccination, remember back home in Fiji, when we got the first vaccine announced by the government, and then we were told later, okay, second booster, third booster, and then another booster. The public were like panicking And there were some of them that I very soon will turn into an alien with so many boosters going to her body. But the questions that I'd like to ask you is, what if someone here really, really nervous about getting the vaccine? What do you do?
I can take that. So we're all about access and accessibility. There's different options. Like if you're nervous, we can come to you in your home and you can have a more controlled environment. We also are used to working with people who get nervous with vaccines. It's very common, very normal. The first thing we'll do is listen to you and what you need. So if you are nervous, you can tell us what would help you to feel more comfortable. We'll do different environmental controls. We can pull over a screen to give you a little more privacy. We have an anxiety kit with like squeeze toys and breathing exercises. We won't rush you, so we'll take as long as you need and we'll answer any questions you have. And we'll just basically put you in control and make sure you're comfortable moving forward. And if it takes a couple of times, if you need to take a walk and come back, whatever you need, we'll work to make that happen. We also offer in-car vaccination, so we can arrange for us to come to you in your car if you're more comfortable with that, if you don't want to be in a crowd, or if you just are more comfortable in your car situation, whether it's mobility or any other access needs. We're trying to have a lot of modalities, so we'll see you in your home, we'll see you in your car. We do have community events too. I think we have an upcoming one with Tony and Sylvia, or we just had one. So we're trying to make sure that there's as much access as possible because it's just so important to get vaccinated. Did I answer all your questions there?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I just want to add, that as you say, this is a new virus. It was a new vaccine. So we continue, as science was learning more about the disease, then it's when it become, like the first dose, the second dose, the booster, and now we are, with the new vaccines that are protecting, against the current variant that is circulating. So, all those things, really people, got tired, of all these vaccines that I need. Do I really need them? So part of our process also is to educate folks. We tell them what you guys are doing, why we are doing it, how comfortable you feel, the pros and cons of getting the vaccines, what products are available. I mean, we do very good at explaining people, what they are coming for, so they feel more comfortable, getting the vaccines. Because I agree with you, it's hard to keep up with all the different things that have happened since vaccination started for this disease. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sam Clover and Francisco Arias Reyes, these are the managers of the public health in the Kent Vaccine Clinic. You're discussing, what the people need to know and asking questions. And that's almost like normal, like for the Pacific Islanders, like they, sometimes they don't really understand, they don't inherit the correct information. And even some in my family too, like sometimes they said, Mom, why do you kind of, like push us, to take too many vaccines, at the same time that we already go through the first round and then up to the third dose, and then now it's another one and another one. But otherwise, I said, like that's all we just have to follow the science to study. You protect yourself and you protect myself, we protect each other, But thank you so much, like we do understand, like that is just a normal thing, like a human being asking questions, But thank you for doing the great work, to serve the community and for the safety environment. So who will be the next one to ask a question? I know that we have, Sina, would you like to ask another question about, because your Sina brought in a tons of the elderly, from the senior community. And I helped them out to get the vaccine, at our first health fair event in November. And I know Sina is trying to do her best above and beyond to help with the elderly, especially her mom is in her 80s right now, and she's doing very well. But I think that maybe Sina will have something to, like in thoughts or something to share. Sina, can you go ahead, please? Sina? Maybe, okay. How about Paulina? Paulina, do you have any question? I want to give this opportunity for you. Paulina, I can see you. Please unmute your phone, to make sure that you are able to, we can be able to hear you. Thank you, Pastor Paulina.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely, loud and clear.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to ask our friends from King County who have come and speak to us today, how many vaccines or boosters altogether that an individual need to take?
That's a good question. How many
So,
vaccine for the individual that are required to take?
so a little bit, it depends on age. Some of the younger children have a multiple dose series. But for most people, it's just one and done. They want you to get the updated vaccine. So this is the 23-24 vaccine. It's a little confusing because in the past we had boosters, and technically this isn't a booster. It's more in line of the flu vaccine. We're not exactly sure how it will go in the future, but we're predicting that we'll have an updated vaccine maybe every year like we do with the flu vaccine. That's because the virus changes over time and it makes it harder for your body to recognize it and fight it. So right now, just pretty much one and done vaccine, and you just needed the update vaccine for this year. For most people, depending on your immune conditions and things like that, and we can talk to you in clinic about what would be best for you too.
And I just want to chime in with what Sam said, because I think this is such a good question, Pastor Paulina. I hear from people who say, well, I got my first vaccination and I got a booster and another booster, so I'm done. And because, like Sam was saying, that the COVID virus keeps changing, it means that just because you got prior boosters or just because you got a vaccination before doesn't mean you never need to get vaccinated against COVID again. So earlier this fall, a new updated COVID vaccine, like Sam was talking about, came out. And everyone 6 months and older needs to get that vaccine. And the sad news is most people in King County haven't gotten that vaccine yet. So even if you got a vaccine or two vaccines right when it came out, even if you went and got multiple booster shots, even if you've already had COVID and you're feeling fine now, you still need to go in and get this new updated vaccine. And like Sam was saying, it's becoming kind of similar to how each year we go in and need to get a new flu shot. Similar thing with the COVID shot. Right now, everyone needs to go in and get that new COVID vaccine. And the great news is that if you go to the Kent site that Sam and Francisco work at, it's free, even if you don't have health insurance.
And I just want to add, that also for clients or members of the community who have not had non-vaccine, like no COVID vaccine at all, this vaccine, is the only one that they will need. So they will not have to go back and get all the shots. It's just one. So we can, make it a little bit easier, for community members who are still on the fence about getting vaccinated, now that it's only one and done, as we had said, that might be a little bit easier. So that's another benefit of getting, the new updated vaccine.
Thank you so much. I think that's, I was looking for answers, but now I have, I'm equipped to tell other people, especially in church. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, raise your hand, if you have any question. So we do have, Pastor Arceli still inside, and Sina Pekka. And So anybody have any more questions? Because we got 9 more minutes before the end of our program, before the end of 2023.
Ma'am, I have a question. It's Tia. If we can be just given the address to the clinic, so we can spread it to our friends and especially on our part, the Fijians who are here in Seattle.
Where the Kent Clinic is in the Kent Hill Shopping Plaza. And let me just grab the address here. We are at 25742 104th Avenue Southeast in Kent. That's 25742 104th Avenue Southeast in Kent. And we are open for walk-ins. Just there is also a website where you can make an appointment, but we want everyone to know, just come on in. We're open from 9:30 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday, though we are closed for lunch from 12:30 to 1:30.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question that I wanted to ask, please, because we mentioned about the vaccination, and I was one of the navigators that witnessed the couple of our patients that we took it after the vaccination, and it says you need to have one vaccination to help them out through. And I wanted to assure how confidence for us to promote that vaccination that we just met, that was mentioned, to help our people out, because I witnessed them when they all the way till now, that too are crippled right now, and they have negative impact of it. But I wondered from your suggestions, how confident role of you that your profession with that we can suggest to promote it, because we don't want the negative part to impact it again, because we are all vaccinated. But I just wanted to inform them and to hear that we're sharing this live, that we can help promote it through your voices and through us, the community members, and to help people out, because that's my question. I don't want to go further, with all my respect. Thank you, Voice of South Pacific, for the opportunity. And thank you also for the Kent facility. But if you got answers, can you help me out with that, please?
And I just want to clarify, Lupe, your question is about the safety of the COVID vaccine. Is that right?
Yes, please.
Sam or Francisco, do you feel good talking about the safety of the vaccine and, the consequences, health consequences of not getting it?
Yeah. So the vaccines are like any medication. There can be some side effects, but there's a lot of people, a lot of doctors who look at all of these studies and look at how the vaccines are performing and how many people might have a side effect. And they compare it to how dangerous COVID is. We call this a risk versus benefit calculation. So we look at the risk of being unvaccinated versus the risk of getting vaccinated. And over and over and over again, it is much more dangerous to be unvaccinated. The COVID virus is more dangerous than the vaccine, which is why we offer it. There is a small amount of risk, but there are actually quite rare typically. Most side effects for vaccines happen right away, and you'll have nurses on site to help manage them if you have like a rare allergic reaction or anything like that. But yeah, we have been giving these vaccines for several years, and we have a lot of data behind them. And it is definitely safer to get the vaccine than to not. You might still get COVID even if you do get the vaccine. No vaccine is 100%, but you'll be more protected. You're likelier to have a mild case, and it can help protect you from long COVID, which can last months or years and can have muscle aches, fatigue, brain fog, sometimes cardiac issues. So with the small and rare risks that the vaccine does carry, like any medication, it is still better to get vaccinated than to risk getting COVID. Even if you're young, even if you have lower risk for COVID, it's still safer, which is why it's recommended for everyone 6 months and older. And I'll turn it over to Francisco if he wants to add anything.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is just to reiterate, what Sam said, that the vaccines have been studied and continue to be studied for safety. Like that's why, we have a reporting system, when we report, any side effect or anything. So the scientists can look into that and improve the vaccines. Because again, it's a new virus, it's a new type of vaccine. So to me, I almost considered myself personally a miracle that we were able to get a vaccine that quickly and that can be that effective to prevent people from getting really sick, with COVID. Because as you remember, this is hard because, we lost a lot of community members, through this disease. And if the science will not be as advanced as it is right now, we could have even lost more people. So to me, it was a very hard experience that we all, went through with COVID. But also, we are on the other end because you can remember, the holidays in 2020 were so sad for everybody around the world. And now, 3 years later, we are pretty much recovered. COVID exists. COVID exists still around, but it's now more manageable. It's preventable still, and we have more tools and more knowledge, to protect our communities. And therefore, our first line of defense are these vaccines that are, as Kate said, they are free, they are available, and they are the best first line of response, to fight this virus that's still with us today. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
So just a question, the vaccine, we had Moderna, Pfizer, BioNTech. What is the actual name of the vaccine that we have at hand?
Just to make sure I understand the question, you're asking what are the vaccines called now?
Yes.
Okay. So what we used to call Pfizer and Moderna have both been approved for the ages 12 plus. So now they have brand names. So Pfizer is now called Comirnaty because the FDA approved it and it's an official medication now. And Moderna is called Spikevax. This is for the vaccine version for people who are 12 years and older. We still have the children's vaccines, which are still called Pfizer and Moderna. So that's the technical title, but a lot of people still call them Pfizer and Moderna, and we totally understand what they're talking about when they ask for Pfizer versus Moderna.
And I just want to chime in here because I've heard this question also in other media interviews, and it's kind of like how you can go into the grocery store and you can buy mint toothpaste that's by Crest, or you can buy mint toothpaste from Colgate, but they're going to be almost identical. They might just have different packaging and different colors. Pretty similar with the COVID vaccine. The Pfizer company makes the COVID vaccine. The Moderna company makes the COVID vaccine. But the actual active ingredients, the formulation is very similar for both.
Well, thank you, everyone. We're coming to the conclusion. It's exactly 2 o'clock, and I know that Kate Cole is from the communication, Seattle King County Public Health, is watching to make sure that we don't go over with the coconut time today. And thank you, everyone. Nori De La Pena with the mental health, and also Sam Glover and Francisco Arias Reyes. Those are the managers at the Public Health and Cancer Vaccine Clinic. We do appreciate, we're so grateful with the great information that reminded us, of all the topics, to discuss, to feel the safety measure, within our community, especially with the vaccines. It's everybody asking questions, and I'm glad you're able to answer all these questions, that we're asking today. Thank you, and we wish you the best holiday and enjoy your upcoming Merry Christmas 2023, and take some rest, for the 2024. We're looking forward for the upcoming new year of working with you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Pastor
Sylvia.
Thank you,
Aceli,
Sylvia.
and also Pastor Paulina
you.
Vuikovo. Those
Yeah.
are all the,
Hello.
look like the Bula Vinaka Islands of Fiji take over today. Sina from the Samoan, also from the Tongan, and also Joseph from the Oceania Pacific Northwest, and Lydia, that will be our upcoming co-host, and also Lupe Talamoni, and everyone. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Oh, Nori De La Pena, thank you. Thank you all, and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you from
Likewise.
Voice of South
Hello,
Pacific,
Tito.
a Pacific
Hello.
Islanders broadcast. Sylvia Fatima, Aho, and then also our best radio tech of the year, Devita Una Hefa. Yes.
Bye, Sylvia.
Yes, now you can dance your way out with the Christmas Carol with Santa Claus.
That's right.
Pastor Paulina, thank you so much.
Mother Lydia.
Oh, hi Lydia. Lydia from the Fiji Islands broadcast.
Hey, sorry for
Now you can just dance the islands melodious for the Christmas holiday. Bye bye everyone from Santa Claus. Voice of South Pacific from Manamoi Center. Our Pacific Islanders broadcast. Enjoy your holiday. Have a blessed Christmas, everyone.